How does our show normally start?
You listen to it every week.
I listened to it earlier today. I'm trying to remember.
Normally, our show starts with you making some kind of weird noise. That's honestly most of the time.
Well, but I'm trying to remember the exact cadence. So it's something like, this is the Triathlon Podcast. I'm Lucas.
And I'm Daniel.
And this is a weekly podcast where we talk about triathlons.
It sure does feel that way sometimes, doesn't it?
So I ran my Ironman, my half Ironman, and now I have to tell you about it.
Yep. You also swam and biked.
I did all those things.
Yes, yeah.
I did all those things. So
you didn't run it.
Go ahead and put 45 minutes on the clock
yes.
for this pre-show. and we can just get into. We can just get straight into it.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, somebody died.
Yeah, that's not great, and you're not making a joke like that. Actually, happened.
Just super horrible.
Yeah,
somebody got into the water, had a medical emergency. They pulled him out of the water, took him to the hospital, and he didn't make it.
It kind of reminds me of we went on a trip several years ago at this point to hike the tallest mountain peak in Texas, and I think while we were there, we were kind of like, this is pretty hard. And it wasn't that hard, but it was just like I know for me, it was like maybe a little bit harder than I was expecting. And that one weekend, the day we were there while we were hiking it, we passed like 2 search parties because like people had like fallen off the trail or something.
Yeah.
And I think maybe one person died. I'm not sure, but it's just like, okay, wow, like this thing that I kind of just thought was like a normal thing, like is actually like pretty strenuous. And yeah, that happens sometimes.
It's the real deal, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you go out there and do a thing, and you don't think anything's going to happen. You could just not come back.
Yeah. Yeah. That is really sad, though.
It's just kind of a terrible situation. I also learned whenever this happened that there's such a thing called swimming-induced pulmonary edema.
What is that?
Do you know what a pulmonary edema is?
Not. I mean, it has something to do with circulation, but
it's like bleeding in your lungs or something. I don't really know what it is. I'm not a doctor. But apparently, for unknown reasons, if you've maybe like overhydrated and then you have like too much blood pumping, but then you like go into cold water, there could be some combination of things that cause an edema situation, pulmonary edema in your lungs. And then normally if you get this swimming induced pulmonary edema, which can just happen, they like pull you out of the water in like 48 hours. You're late. You're just like good. But if they don't pull you out of the water, you just die.
Oh wow! So did you find that out before, during, or after the swim for this race?
It was after. It was like the next day. I'm like, what happened to this dude? Like, did he just?
And that's what.
Did he have a heart attack or whatever? I don't know. No, there's no cause of death.
No.
They have not determined the cause of death.
I see.
TBD. He had a medical emergency. And now I know that swimming-induced pulmonary edema is a thing, and I never want to get in the water again. I'm like, I was just like swimming across. There's like a lake over near where we live.
You would just go. You wouldn't even tell anybody you were going.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna swim across and back. Now, no one's watching me. If I had a pulmonary edema, I just died.
Yeah,
just right there,
just
dead,
sink
done
in the water.
Just underwater, you're done. You're gone.
That's like. Do you know when it's happened? Like, it probably.
I mean, like you basically like your chest gets tight, and you start like coughing up blood or something.
But I guess when that happens, it's probably hard for you to get out of the water on your own.
Oh yeah, almost certainly. I'm just saying this seems pretty terrible.
Yeah,
and now I'm really worried about swimming.
Yeah,
just in general, just swimming at all.
Could be your last half Ironman.
Maybe, I don't know. My cousin was like, "You got to swim. We got to do another one."
Well, you got to do the other half.
Got to do the other half. Yeah, exactly.
You did one half, but you're not a full Ironman until you do the other half.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely not doing both at once.
So anyways, I finished horribly. I finished like, I don't know, 1,200 out of 1,700 people.
Well, it looked to me like, I don't know if you're planning on how much of a play-by-play you're doing, but it looked to me like your swimming and your biking were pretty good, like in terms of time. And then the running seemed to me like you probably just like ran out of gas.
Yeah. So, well, that's pretty close, right? That's relatively what happened. I trained around doing 50 grams of carbs an hour, and even during like my long bikes, I never quite got through that much like fuel intake. And then for the race, I was like, I'm going to do 90 grams of carbs an hour. And I thought I could
just gonna double or nothing.
I thought I could just do more, and I couldn't.
What when you say carbs, like what are you eating to do? Like
It's
energy
different
gels?
things. Like I had this stuff called Scratch, which is this powder that you dump into your water bottle.
Oh, I thought that was like a term for money or something.
It is also that,
okay.
but it's like 400 calories and 100 grams of carbs.
That's a lot.
And in a 24-ounce bottle. And so I had 2 of those, and I had 2 Cliff Bars and gummies and 4 gels for the bike to like get through on that 3.5-hour bike ride, so that I was like ready for the run. And I was struggling to get through that. And then when I got to the run, it was like there was just a rock in my stomach.
Yeah.
And I could barely like take in any more like electrolyte fluid or water or gels. And so I just couldn't do the nutrition for the run.
That's interesting. That's probably not how you thought. Like, I imagine that's not what you thought the weak point would be.
I know that you had to train nutrition, but I was like, I never really had a serious problem with it. And so I just like, you can just do it. And now I know, well, you actually have to build up to being able to process that much intake.
It's interesting.
Just as much as you're building up like your running endurance and your biking endurance.
I mean, I guess it makes sense because you don't normally do, 7.5 hours of hard physical activity at once. So like that's unusual. And then as a result, you're not normally consuming that much, like that many calories or that many carbs.
Of that kind also, like while exercising. So
yeah, I guess like of that kind is important because like I mean you've probably knocked back like a triple dipper at Chili's,
sure,
an entree at Cheesecake Factory. Like either of those has to be more carbs, but you're also like not running at the time, and it's a different type of nutrition. Maybe
I was trying to do 2,500 calories and 630 grams of carbs.
There are for sure Cheesecake Factory entrees that are that much.
Okay, yeah.
No doubt.
Maybe I should have brought Cheesecake Factory entree with me.
Yeah, just have like a gallon jug, but it's full of pasta.
Sure.
Yeah.
You just slurp that up. That's terrible.
Yep.
They had this stuff on the run called pickle juice. And it's not actual pickle juice. It's this product called pickle juice that's
not confusing.
It's like vinegar, potassium, magnesium, and water, and it tastes like pickle juice, but they haven't put pickles in it. And it tastes exactly like pickle juice, but like super sour. I don't know if you ever crave pickles.
Not really. No.
Well, like if you like sweat enough, and sometimes you crave pickles.
Okay.
And since you have no point of comparison, I'm just going to go through it. Sometimes when you crave pickles, you like eat a pickle and you go, I need like 7 more pickles, please.
Yeah. I know people like that. I'm not one of those people. I know people like that.
I don't really like pickles, except for when I'm craving pickles. And the shot of this pickle juice stuff, you take 1 shot of it and you're like, I don't want any more pickles.
Interesting.
Because it's just so intense. No, it's so intense.
It's just concentrated pickle.
But also, because of the potassium and everything in it, their claim is it'll like stop cramps immediately. And I was feeling pretty sick to my stomach, and I threw back some of that pickle juice, and I felt less sick to my stomach.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You feel like maybe that's something you should just keep around?
I'm definitely going to buy some as like post-workout, potassium intake and salt intake.
Yep.
Seems like a pretty good deal.
Just like strategically stash it around the house in various places.
Just need pickle shots.
If you're going from one room to the other, and you feel like you're starting to cramp up, just grab that pickle juice.
Yeah, it's a great idea. It's a very, very good idea.
Yep.
Anyway, I basically met my pace that I was shooting for on the swim. And then the person, I ran with my cousin, and she got out of the water like 3 or 4 minutes before me. And I thought she got out like 10 minutes before me because I knew that she was going to be faster. So I thought she was going to swim like a 45-minute, and I got out in like 52, 53 minutes, which is still terribly slow. I know. I'm just slow, okay? I'm slow. And I get out, and she's like gone. She's on the bike. I'm like, okay, I gotta catch her. Like I gotta catch her. I was gonna catch her on the bike. I'm gonna catch her on the bike. And so I get going, and I'm just like trying to catch her. And for the first 20 miles of it, I'm doing like 19, 18 miles an hour, and I just can't find her. I passed her at mile 10. There was like a stop. There was an aid station, and I just didn't see it. It's congested at the aid station.
You didn't know that you passed her, but that is when you passed her.
Yeah, I didn't know I passed her. And so I'm like, she is hauling.
Yep.
Holy, so I'm just trying to catch her the whole time. And I mean, I was training around like a 15-ish mile an hour pace for the bike, which slow, I know. whatever. I did like 16.1. And I was like, that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
We talked at some point in the past in this podcast about the, how the people kind of like lock in while they're on the bike and they end up in a euphoric state and then just slam into the back of, vehicles that are pulled over the side of the road. Do you feel like you entered that euphoric state while you were speeding along?
I mean, there was a lot of like, maybe I could just put my head down for a little bit because my neck's tired.
Yep.
I did pass somebody who was being carried away in a stretcher. So that person may have achieved the euphoric state.
A lot of intense stuff happened during this race.
Well, when I picked up my bike, the person who had their bike next to me, their bike was gone, but their running shoes and their towel were still there.
That's weird.
And I was like, they didn't make it.
Yeah.
And I looked up. I looked up like the few numbers before me and after my number, and of the 4 numbers that I looked up, 2 of them DNF'd.
Wow.
And I was like, oh dear.
It's interesting to hear that because, all while you've been training for this, I know like obviously you've worked super hard to train for it. And, you seemed like worried about it and, and like, I hope I can finish or whatever. And I mean, I think it's good to have like a healthy level of that. But I kind of had the perspective, like, you're probably going to finish. Like, even if you have to like, drag yourself across the finish line, like if you're in enough of a like physical fitness state to where you feel good about entering the race and you actually like show up on race day and do it, like, what is really going to keep you from doing it? But I guess that just shows you like how hard it actually is that, presumably like most people that sign up for it feel that way. And then some just don't finish.
You do have to beat the time. This particular race had 2 loops, 2 6-mile loops for the run. And if you didn't hit the second loop by 3:45 in the afternoon, like you're out. And one of the people that came and watched us race, she said that she like had her sign. She's like cheering people on, waiting for my cousin to come around. And there were some people where she was like, you can do it. And they're like, no, I'm done. And she's like, no, you just get up and go. And they're like, no, like, that's it. I'm done. And there's people just like quitting left and right in front of her.
Crazy.
I'm just saying, it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's intense.
So I was shooting for 7 hours. I did 7 hours and 46 minutes, which is not good, but it's because I fell apart on the run because I didn't train the nutrition well enough.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really proud that I actually finished. I didn't DQ, didn't DNF, and I'm just like checking it off.
Yep.
I'm like half of an Ironman now.
Yep.
Watch out.
So, I'm going to have to ask you this question again in like 2 months or something, but right now, do you feel like you'll sign up and do another one?
I don't know. Maybe. My cousin wants to run a full, and so I may run another half with her just to keep her encouraged and going and like support her in that way, since like, well, how many people in her life can go run a half Ironman with her?
Probably not very many.
And so I feel like I wouldn't mind doing it again to support her. It is a heck of an undertaking. And I mean, it is on the light end 6 hours a week and on the heavy end 12 hours a week of working out.
Yeah. And you're having to like split between the 3 activities and stuff. And
honestly, like doing the marathon training, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the build. I enjoyed doing the race. And that was like December, January, and I was done in February. It was like 14 weeks or something. For this, I did 20 weeks of build. And by mid-August, with like everything that we do with, the videos we shoot and day job and podcasting and all the stuff, and then working out on top of it, I was so sick of training, man. Like for the last 4 weeks, it just felt like that was all I was doing.
Yeah.
So I'm like really happy to be kind of over the hump, and I don't particularly want to jump into another build phase. So we'll see how I feel in a few months.
I guess it's a question of like how much of the fitness that you have now do you want to try and maintain? Like,
I would love to maintain all of it, but realistically, I'm not going to swim until March, and so like that's just going to kind of fall off, and it'll be fine. And I'll bike here and there. I think I'm going to train for a half marathon next.
Yeah, well, like, that would be a lot easier than what you just ran a half.
Yeah, just ran a half marathon.
You like half walked, half.
I ran the slowest half marathon I've ever run in my life. I mean, I've only have like 7 or 8 tracked half marathons in my smash run, but even still, it's like that was your slowest ever by a solid 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you probably haven't done too many where you swam and biked for hours before.
Yeah, not so much. So I think what I'm going to try to do is I'll run maybe a half in January, and I'll try to do a sub 2, like a sub 2 hour.
Yeah.
And that'll be my next thing.
Yeah. seems like a reasonable goal.
Right. So thank you for listening to the Triathlon podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe. And you can catch us next week. What else do we say?
I mean, I don't know. We're gonna see.
Follow us on Twitter, which doesn't exist anymore.
Yep. We're gonna see how many subscribers we lose from that pitch right there of people who like I never want to hear about triathlons.
Just go ahead and play the outro.
Welcome back to the Camera Gear Podcast. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Lucas.
And we're here today to talk about the gear, software, and techniques we use to shoot photos and video.
It's a welcome back.
Yeah.
That's how it starts.
Yeah, welcome back. Well, but that was, I don't know, that wasn't really the first episode of the Triathlon Podcast, but it was kind of like a backdoor pilot to the Triathlon Podcast.
Right, exactly. Boy, did I successfully push us along far enough that we don't have to talk about any of these topics?
I wouldn't say that. I don't know about any of these topics.
Just one more thing related to triathlon. I'm in recovery mode, and so we need to skip a week.
Yeah, you're probably right. We'll take 1 week off and then come back after that.
Okay.
But there is still a show today.
Yeah, there's a show today. We're going to skip next week, and then we'll be back a week after that.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
we'll give you 1 week off.
What's this link? You put this in here.
So I want to, you had this Osmo Pocket. I think it was kind of like a backdoor hit for you where you were, you've been really skeptical of that product and then you got given one for free and now you're maybe a little less skeptical.
Man, I have it with me all the time.
I wanted to hear, how has that been going for you? Like, do you take it with you? Do you film stuff with it? Like, how are you feeling about the Osmo Pocket? You're rummaging in your bag.
Yeah, I thought I had it with me. I pretty much have it always in this bag. And then I think I brought it with me to the Ironman event, but then I don't think I actually shot anything with it.
Okay.
I like that I can get stable footage easily from a very discreet camera, and it's just kind of fun.
Yeah. I feel like the discreet aspect of it is, like probably not really what I thought would be cool about it, but whenever I saw it in person, it suddenly kind of made sense. For like, oh, I get it. Like, this is a little black stick that you hold in your hand. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really look like a camera. If you were like holding it in your fist, it would be like almost impossible to see. Like, you just had like this tiny little camera. And I think socially that feels different than using like a smartphone to film.
Not trying to sound like a creep, but I mean, when you shoot on your phone and you're holding your phone up, that is like now a thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And people react in a certain way. And if you're trying to get a shot or like B-roll or something, even if I just have a camera, like I have a camera set up, people respond differently to like a camera rigged out and shooting with than they do to a phone.
That's true. Yep.
And I think it's because like, oh, that person's like doing work for some reason and I should ignore them, versus why is that person shooting a video with their phone?
Yep. Yeah. Like, is this going to be on Instagram?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
like that kind of thing. Yeah.
And I think that stigma it's interesting that that's so much of a thing. I wasn't expecting out of the Osmo Pocket. And otherwise, it just kind of like is good. And the stabilization is good, and it's just kind of cool to use. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I think it's a pretty cool little device. And yeah, I found this thing on CineD that's made by a company called Zoss. And this headline says Zoss expands. I like this name. Osmodo rig line for DJI Osmo Pocket 3 with box style housings. And I don't know if you've looked at this link yet.
This is easily one of the top 10 stupidest things I've ever seen.
So I feel like all I have to describe to say this is that this is an Osmo Pocket with a matte box. Like, they've got this thing fully rigged up. Starting from back to front, I can see an NPF battery. It looks like a 970, like a big NPF battery on the back. They've got 2 side handles, a top handle. I think they're using a phone as a monitor on top of it, and then there's a matte box on the front. I mean, this thing's like a full on like how you would rig out like a mirrorless camera, and they're doing it for an Osmo.
So, not to invoke Star Wars, but in what is it? There's like somewhere in Star Wars, I'm having trouble remembering exactly where. There's like an eyeball or something that pops out of a bucket.
I'm not sure. Not sure I know about that.
Anyway, that's what this looks like. It looks like someone has a cup holder, and then the Osmo head is just kind of like whoop, just whoop, poking out. And then I guess you can slap some sort of matte box or screw-on filter on the top of it.
That's what it looks like.
It's got top handles, side handles, NPF mounts. You can mount your phone for a monitor. This is ridiculous.
It really is.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Did you happen to look up the price for this thing?
No, I didn't. Can I guess?
Yeah,
can I guess how much this thing costs?
Yeah. Now let's do price without the Osmo.
Price without the Osmo, no battery. Is it just the body and the lens mount thing, or does it come with the handles?
It comes with all the handles. Yeah, like the whole rig, but no battery, no Osmo.
$125.
Oh man, if only. That is not the price point they're hitting for this product.
$200.
You're not going to get there.
$500.
$649.
What? Stop it, Daniel. How much?
I'm looking at this. I'm thinking the Osmo has to be included. Like, let me check.
How much does an Osmo Pocket 3 cost?
I think it's like $400 at least.
An Osmo Pocket 3 is $800.
Well, by itself or with accessories?
By itself.
I didn't know it was that much.
Then the Pocket 3 went up in price because they added like the moving screen and a lot of features. They made the sensor bigger. The Pocket 3 is a legit improvement over the standard Pocket, though I think you can also buy a non 3.
I have looked at this listing.
A Pocket 2 is $279.
I have looked at this listing 5 times to see, like, am I missing something? Does it come with the Osmo Pocket? It does not. It comes with a battery. You get an NPF battery.
Oh, dang.
But $649 for that.
Sweet deal.
And then you add your $800 Osmo Pocket, and you've got like a $1,500 camera setup for this thing.
No.
It's one of those things that you just have to think, like, when you're holding that in your hands, and preparing to film with it, you have to start thinking like, have I gone wrong here? Like, am I going too far down this road?
This solves real problems for some people.
You think so?
No.
I think this kind of leads in a little bit to our next topic because, it feels to me like the Osmo Pocket is made for a certain type of filming that we just talked about, like, being unobtrusive, like always with you, that kind of thing. And I think it's really good for that. And, you kind of have people shoehorning it into other uses. And I kind of feel like you could say the same about the next camera we're talking about.
So the iPhone 17 Pro has a type 1/2.8 sensor, and the Pocket 3 has a 1-inch sensor.
I mean, the 1-inch sensor is definitely bigger.
The Pocket 3 is like a 2x the size of the current iPhone sensor.
Yep.
So it may no longer be true that I know that sensor size isn't everything, but it may no longer be true that the Pocket is worse or equal to an iPhone video camera.
That's interesting.
But I feel like with the Pocket 2, that was always the thing of your phone's just going to take as good a video.
Yeah.
I mean, the 17 Pro takes really, really good video.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the Pocket 3 takes better video. It'll be more stabilized and smoother.
Sure.
I think there's maybe enough reason to get the Pocket 3 over just like shooting with your phone. But spoiler alert, like the next camera we're talking about is iPhone 17 Pro Max.
Yep. And we'll get to it, but I feel like it's kind of a similar thing where you have something that's good for certain purposes, but I feel like you're seeing like these things, you're seeing the lines get blurred, right? Where like Pocket 3, good for certain things, and then somebody's like, let's slap a matte box on it, and suddenly it's like, what are we doing? And kind of feel like we're seeing like hints of that with the iPhone.
Yeah, a little bit. So I kind of want to recycle a segment that we did recently for this conversation about the iPhone. So 10 reasons the iPhone 17 Pro is a revolution in cinematography.
Perfect.
I'm kidding. We're not doing that.
It's because it doesn't have film simulations.
Exactly. If it had film simulations, you can do LUTs. Daniel, have you used the Final Cut Pro camera.
I have not.
Final Cut
'cause
camera.
I
Final
felt
Cut
like
camera.
there wasn't a reason to use it unless I wanted to edit in Final Cut Pro, and I don't edit in Final Cut Pro.
The Final Cut camera is now like an Apple version of the Blackmagic camera app.
Interesting.
You can shoot in a variety of formats fairly easily. You can say I want to shoot in HEVC or ProRes, and I want to shoot in 4K or 1080 and at this frame rate, and I want it to be in log or Rec 709 or HDR. And you can easily select those options at the top and then just shoot. And the videos stay in that app. They don't go into your photo roll. And it's kind of a nice in between where I don't think the Blackmagic camera app is necessarily over the top. I like it a lot. I like that you can load your own LUTs and stuff in there. But now this first party solution has gotten good enough where it has built-in LUT previews. And you can just say, do the LUT preview, but still shoot in log. And then whenever you play it back in the app, you can toggle the LUT preview in the app also.
It's surprising that Apple went that far.
Yeah, it's cool. the Final Cut camera app is really, really good. And it's like V2 now.
Yeah.
The one that originally came out was just like, you shoot with all your iPads.
Yeah.
Now it's basically a competitor with, it's like a slightly less pro version, first party, easier, less complicated version of the Blackmagic camera app.
I might have to check that out.
You definitely need to check it out.
Yeah.
And like cool. it's gotten pretty good. And that was one of the things, I don't know if it was necessarily released with the 17 Pro, but a lot of the new features, there's new features that came out with the most recent update that were like, now you can shoot at 200 millimeter and it supports Genlock and it supports this other stuff.
Yeah,
and blah, blah.
Obviously they released an update to it to coincide with the new iPhone. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And if you haven't used it, you should use it.
Huh. Neat.
Anywho, iPhone 17.
Yep. It came out.
You have one. And it's orange.
One. Yep. I have the Pro Max in orange.
So instead of talking about the camera, can we talk about how orange it is?
It's pretty orange. It's a good orange.
I
was pleasantly surprised because Apple's Pro colors are always really bland and like various shades of gray. And it's actually a good orange.
I've pretty much convinced myself I'm going to buy that phone.
Just have to have it.
It's in 2013, 2012, 2013, when the Nexus 5 came out. It was red.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted that red phone. And I was like, you don't need a new phone right now, Lucas. Like, you don't need a new phone. And then as time passed, it became that the Nexus 5 in red was like the coolest Nexus ever made.
Yep.
And I was just always kind of regretted never having it.
You just kind of missed the boat on that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And now there's an orange iPhone.
Yep.
And Apple's never going to make another orange Pro Max.
Probably true.
And next year they're going to like redesign the whole phone and it's going to like fold in half and be ridiculous. And the screen's going to wrap all the way around and it's going to have 12 cameras and
all that's true.
All that stuff. Or the 20th year anniversary iPhone Extreme.
Yep.
Whatever they call it. Who cares? Not me. Because I will have bought the orange one. And it will be so orange. Yep. And it will be the last phone I ever buy because they will never make another orange one.
I don't know about all that, but it is very orange. And the way they've designed it, you see more of the color because they've turned the camera bump, which I think I don't know if they ever use the term, but people definitely use the term camera mesa because it started getting bigger. And now they have camera plateau.
So I was thinking that the more appropriate name would be to call it a butt.
Camera butt.
Because you know how in not geography, is it geography term? As far as land features, you have buttes.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a study butte.
That's true.
Which is you have a flat whatever, and then like the butte comes up. And a plateau is pretty big.
Yeah.
I think this is more of a butt.
I mean, I can't really argue with the logic.
Also, some people think it's ugly.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, some butts are ugly, some aren't, Daniel.
This is taking a turn. The one thing that annoys me about how they designed it is that, they have this huge protrusion on the back of the phone but yet still
it's a view.
And it extends, the whole left to right, and yet still the lenses stick out further.
I know.
And so I have a case on mine, so I don't have this problem. But if you didn't have a case, it would still wobble on the desk. Like,
Isn't that frustrating?
It kind of is. Yeah.
Just go through all that effort and it's still not thick enough.
Like just go the full distance.
Yeah.
You know,
go the full distance.
Full distance.
I'm pretty familiar with going the full distance. I ran a whole half Ironman.
Yeah.
It's actually half the distance.
Yeah, it's about to point that out.
Okay, so as far as differences in cameras, I think the iPhone's still the only thing that's shipping with actual IBIS. I think most phone cameras are lens stabilization, not image stabilization.
Interesting. Okay.
Sensor stabilization.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I guess I thought like the Pixel, for example.
I think that's true. What if Sony's doing it? Sony's doing a bunch of weird stuff. Like recalling all of the last Xperia 1 7s. Anyways, was it 6? Who knows? I think the main difference here is that it's a 48 megapixel telephoto.
Yeah. So now all three of the cameras are 48 megapixel. They're not all the same.
Fusion.
Like the main camera is still the best camera, but they have increased because I think on the last one, the telephoto was 12 megapixels.
On the main sensor, they're like, this is the fusion camera. Mm-hmm. And they did this interesting thing where it's a 40 megapixel sensor, but they're giving you a 24 megapixel image.
Yeah.
Which I like the bump from 12 to 24. And I think it's interesting that if you're going to downsample to a 24 megapixel photo, does it matter if you're downsampling from a slightly smaller sensor region to do 24 versus 27 versus 35 millimeter? And I like that they give you the option to choose additional focal lengths. Like, sure, it's kind of faking it, like the GFX 100 RF, but I kind of like, I've changed mine to 1.2, and so right now I'm shooting in 27 millimeters, and I think it's fun. I'm surprised they didn't quite do that with the telephoto.
Yeah, so with the telephoto, they did, you basically have two options. You can do 4X, which is, I think, whole sensor.
They're calling that 100 millimeter full frame equivalent.
And then you can do 8X, which is 200 millimeter full frame equivalent, and that crops in.
Yeah, and that's literally just the center 12 megapixels of the image. So they're not doing where you could maybe get a, I don't know, 6 or like a 4.1, right? If it's 100 millimeters, why can't you shoot 135 at a 24 megapixel 135 millimeter?
It is surprising they didn't do that.
That would be kind of cool, right? I mean, 100's fine. 135 would be the next logical, and then 200. I feel like that would hit most of those telephoto regions.
Yep.
It seems like the 200 millimeter is basically as good, if not better, than the 5X was at 12 megapixels.
I think that's probably true. So the telephoto camera all around is not as good as the main camera. Like if you take a picture at 4X on the telephoto and compare it to a 1X picture on the main camera, you can 100% tell the difference.
Same story with the ultra wide.
Yeah.
It's just like not as good.
Yeah, which is a little frustrating. I'm like, okay, Apple, like how much money do I need to pay you? / how big does this camera plateau need to be for all three of those cameras to like be the same? You said they're the same. They're not the same.
Is it the limits of the optics?
I mean, it has to be, right? It's got to be the reason.
Are the lenses in these phones still plastic?
I don't know.
I don't know if they've actually gone to glass lenses.
Yeah, because I'm sure there'd be some challenges like making it that small or something. I don't know.
Almost certainly.
But I mean, it's good. Like I can tell that the telephoto is improved over the last one. I had a 15 Pro, and like the 4X is definitely better than the 5X from before. I guess I could. I mean, I have both phones sitting right here. I could do some comparisons with the 5X versus the 8X to see. I would be inclined to agree with what you're saying, that it's probably pretty similar between those.
And we have a 15, a 16, and a 17 all right here, Daniel.
That is true. Yeah. I think
just do it live.
So I think that feels like it's an improvement. And I can't remember on the 15 Pro if it supported. I can't remember if you could do night mode on the telephoto. I feel like you couldn't.
That's an interesting limitation.
And I think I can on the 17. So if that's truly a difference, that's a pretty big improvement.
You could do it on the 16 too.
Okay. So they did add that in the 16. You couldn't do it on the 15, but you can do it on the 16 and 17.
Interesting.
The ultra wide, I was a little disappointed in because, I mean, I think on the 16 they had increased the ultra wide to a 48 megapixel.
Right.
The 15 was not, and the reason that bothered me is because I take macro photos sometimes, and macro uses the ultra wide.
Right.
And I've had several times on this phone where on the 15 and on the new one where I like purposely disabled macro mode because I get a better, like especially in lower light, I get a better picture by pulling the camera away a little bit and having it like pulling it away enough that I can focus the main camera, taking the picture and then cropping in. Like looks better than the macro mode.
Yeah, I'm doing that 100% of the time. I'm almost always turning off macro mode because it looks like garbage.
Yeah, and it's a little frustrating because it's like if you guys are gonna like make the camera go into this mode, like why is it so bad? Like,
right?
The main, like I said, the main camera cropped in looks better than the actual macro mode. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
It's almost like we're making a case for something like an iPhone Air, where it's like the ultra wide and the telephoto are nice to have, but they're kind of not as good.
I feel that way a little bit. I find the Air really tempting just because I think it's super cool how thin it is. I like the idea of a smaller phone, but still it's a big screen, which is nice. And honestly, the only thing holding you back is that even though the telephoto is not as good as the main camera, I still find myself using the telephoto a lot just because a lot of the pictures I want to take, like I want to get the framing the way it is in my mind. I want the compression. I think I probably use the telephoto more than most people who have a phone.
You know what's holding me back?
What's holding you back?
It's not orange.
It is not orange. It's quite true.
It's so orange, Daniel.
Yeah. Have you seen an iPhone Air in person yet?
I walked past an Apple store yesterday and I was like, I could go in and look at the Air.
Yeah.
And then I said, nah.
It is pretty impressively thin.
Nice.
Yeah. It
is
it's neat to
almost as thin as my iPad.
Almost. Not quite.
Not quite. I mean, this iPad is impressively thin.
Yes, it is.
It's shockingly thin.
Yep.
Anywho, Daniel, let's stop. We gotta stop talking about all that stuff. This isn't even the most interesting thing.
All right, what is the most interesting?
The most interesting thing is the video specs, which we're gonna get to. But first, we don't have to mention. What do you think about the square sensor on the front, the front-facing 18 megapixel square sensor?
Huge fan of that. So and did you know it is actually not square? Have you seen that?
Is it like 5x7 or something?
It's no, it's octagonal.
What? Okay. Now I'm even more upset because
it's a square sensor, but the corners are cut.
Okay, I was going to be mad that you can't shoot a square image.
Yeah,
I'm even more mad that I can't shoot an octagon image. Give it to me with this freaking things. Yes, I want that.
Yeah. Well, you see, like the lens is round, so there's just no point in having those corners. There is a size of that sensor where you can't see anything.
Give me a freaking circle picture.
That would be interesting.
Yes, let's do it.
Anyway, yeah. So it has a nominally square sensor, and the way it uses that is you could be holding the phone vertically, and you can hit a button in the camera app and switch between a portrait and landscape. Love that feature because I feel like it's just more natural to hold the phone upright. Like you hold it sideways whenever you're like trying to film horizontal video or if you're watching a video. But if you're just naturally holding your phone, like obviously you're going to hold it upright. And like if I'm taking a selfie, which I never do, I feel like it's more natural in me to hold it up that way. And so I really like that you can put it in landscape mode, get the wider perspective. Like if you're trying to take a picture with other people, but you're still holding the phone in a natural way. I think it's really cool that they did that.
So whenever it was the 15 Pro came out, that was kind of like the big jump in a lot of the interesting stuff they were doing as far as pro video. And it was the first time they brought that 48 megapixel sensor, and then they did the quote unquote fusion camera. And we've since talked about that a bit of, oh, hey, Daniel, what are you going to set yours to like 1.2? And what are you going to do with your, you said, I want the full sensor.
Yep.
Like don't crop in on it. I want the full 24 megapixel.
I'll crop it after.
Yeah, I'll crop it after if I want to. And there's, the GFX 100 RF, and a lot of the conversation about that was like, it's really cool what you can do as far as being able to crop and reframe and all this stuff, but why wouldn't you just shoot in RAW and like give me the full thing and then I'll figure it out later. And now that we have this octagon semi-square front camera out of the iPhone, I feel like everyone's just giving them a pass.
Yep.
And they're saying, this is really cool that I can hold my phone vertically and get a horizontal image. And I'm just over here waiting, like, why is no one complaining about it? Give me the full size of the sensor. What's the image circle of that front lens? Give me as much of that as I can, and I'll crop it on myself.
I think people are complaining, and you just got to find the right places on the internet.
I'm just saying, I'm going to all the places I normally go, and all of those people complained about, like, just give me the full thing, and I'll crop it and do it myself. And now when it comes to the front camera, nobody cares. Nobody wants it, and they're all pumped about, oh, I can shoot horizontal, vertically. Mm-hmm. I want the square pictures, Daniel. I want that full sensor square picture, and I'm not giving them a pass. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is a total miss.
You want to put an anamorphic lens on the front camera of your iPhone?
Yes.
And shoot open gate.
You know what? If Apple could give me a square sensor, and Moment could give me an anamorphic clip-on for the front-facing camera.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
I would be unstoppable.
Could be something. All right, we got to talk about this video.
Okay, yeah. We're not going to get to anything, Daniel. This
show has been off the rails since we started it as the Triathlon podcast.
Yikes. Okay. So we already talked about the Final Cut camera and those new features, and that Daniel has to use it because it's cool. They released Apple Log 2.
Yep.
Which has a wider color gamut.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I have yet to find the picture that shows how much wider Apple Log 2 is compared to Apple Log standard. Mm-hmm. But I am always in favor of stretching out that color gamut because it gives you more flexibility.
Yeah. You know, I would assume it's something like the camera has more capabilities, and so this lets them like take advantage of that. Is that, you think that's what it is?
I mean, it's the same. It's the same front. It's the same sensor, right?
But does this Apple Log 2 work on the iPhone 16?
Come on, Daniel.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah,
they're not going to do that.
I mean, to be fair, most camera brands don't either. Like, you know, it's unusual to have a new log profile come to an older camera. So
right. I
probably should cut Apple a little slack there.
I need to dig around and see if I can find that classic. You know, those gamut charts where they show
the little
you,
triangle.
Yeah, and they kind of show you where what is. I forget what percentage of ASUS Apple Log is, but I know that, you know, for F-Log 2C, that whenever Fuji came out with that and went from a Rec 2020 to this slight, like 93% of ASUS, whatever color space, the skin tones got better because you now have more samplings of colors. Like, yeah, sure, it's still 10-bit, and so you only have 2 to the power of 10 color options.
You have a finite number of colors.
Right.
But where you put those colors can change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then having just more colors to choose from to spread that across does help a bit. And so I'm happy to see that Apple is making their log profiles even better.
But you don't just want to go infinite, right? Because like you could ask the question, like, why not just make this color gamut? Like, why not just give me all the colors? And I feel like the reason is
math.
Then your delta between each color has to be bigger because you have a finite amount of numbers you can use, right? Like you can do 2 to the power of 10, like different colors. And if you try and make that spread like every color we have ever imagined, then each of your colors is like a bigger difference from the next color.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's a nice add anyway. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Apple Log 2 color space. Color uses Rec 2020 according to this. That doesn't seem right.
That doesn't seem right.
I don't believe these AIs. Anywho, they added Genlock support.
that. I do want to talk about that because why? And this is kind of what I was saying earlier about the Osmo Pocket. Like, what are the situations where you're filming on an iPhone and an iPhone is the best choice for your production, and you need Genlock?
I think that it's maybe for those weird rigs where you have a bunch of iPhones and you're like doing a thing.
Like making like spatial video or something?
Yeah. Maybe you're doing that or doing some weird 360 situation, or you have like 30 iPhones all rigged together and you need to do a thing. I know that was one of the deals with the Final Cut camera was being able to like live cut between a bunch of different iOS devices.
Yeah, like all your iPads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And maybe they're leaning into that a little bit.
I mean, I guess the advantages that the iPhone brings in that case are it is a lot cheaper because, like, where else are you going to find $1,000 camera that already has a lens with it that can do all this stuff? And so if you need 10 of them, then I guess that helps.
all of these
And
things
it's also smaller, right? So like maybe there's some situations where you want to get decent footage, but you know, you don't have a lot of space. And I mean, a phone is pretty small. But I just like when I read Genlock in these specs, my first thought is like how big is the market of people who want that feature and don't have some massive budget to where like a real cinema camera would be a better choice?
That's actually a very funny, interesting question. I think all of these things are additive, and adding Genlock, because the next iPhone 18 is going to have Genlock, and the 19 is going to have Genlock.
Yeah,
now.
it's just a feature that they have now.
And so they are little by little tearing down the reasons why you can't use an iPhone in a full cinema capacity. Movies, which was eventually going to be in my whatever Lucas's movie corner whenever I get around to seeing it, but 28 years later, famously shot all on an iPhone 15 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they wish they had Genlock for shooting that.
Yeah.
It is maybe a little funny that Apple adding Genlock for people who shoot movies is not a high, like, it takes time and effort to add these features.
Yeah.
And the iPhone makes Apple a lot of money because they sell a volume of them. If they sell 100 to a movie budget, that's not a lot of iPhones.
Yeah, it feels like...
is that paying for the development cost of Genlock?
It's unlikely, right? I do know so Apple has, various sports streaming contracts, and one of those is with Major League Baseball. And I think for some of the recent games, they've used iPhone 17s as part of that broadcast.
There's rumors that they could be requiring F1. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that might be interesting.
I don't want them to mess up my ability to watch F1.
It feels like the Genlock thing is kind of like a Halo car feature where like most people are not going to buy, like they're not going to buy the phone for that. A Halo car is probably a bad term, but like they're not going to buy the phone for that feature, but they like that it can do it, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like, or I guess maybe a better way to say it is like I am probably never going to Genlock my iPhone 17 Pro. Do I think it's cool that it can? Sure.
Well, it's because you need that super sick Blackmagic phone rig to do it.
Yeah. So what's up with that thing?
Okay, that thing is crazy.
I think I saw it during I was watching the presentation, and I think they showed it briefly. I feel like that's how I saw it, and I was like, "What is that thing?" And then we looked it up, and yeah, there's like this whole Blackmagic like dock basically.
Yeah, it's like a dock situation, and then you can you mount your phone somehow to the top of this dock, and it has HDMI out, 2 USB 3.2 ports, 1 USB 2.0 port, Genlock port, timecode port, power, audio in, audio out, and it's $300.
I mean, I guess if you're, the budget probably doesn't matter to you that much if you're doing stuff with this, and I can see how it's more convenient than having some like mess of, dongles and cables and stuff, but it's just so surprising to me that the market of people that want these features is big enough for Apple to have implemented them, and then that they were able to get Blackmagic to work with them and build like this bespoke hardware product that's pretty much just for that. To support all this stuff. It's crazy.
Apple's partnership with Blackmagic Design has been an amazing boon for the camera industry.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Apple famously worked with Atomos to create ProRes RAW.
Yeah.
Like Apple invented ProRes.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought ProRes RAW to the iPhone 17 Pro.
Yep.
Which is interesting to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing so, Blackmagic now supports ProRes RAW.
Yeah, this stuff all kind of happened at the same time, basically.
But it's absolutely related.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whenever they released the iPhone 15, Apple log in Davinci Resolve came at the same time.
Yeah, and the Blackmagic camera app released like the same day.
It takes Fujifilm years to even get F-Log 2 into Davinci Resolve. Like, we still don't have F-Log 2C in Resolve.
Yeah.
And here's Apple day one. They have like either they're just throwing money at Blackmagic, or they have some partnership here where like, hey, make a cool app to run our camera whenever we release the 15 because we're not going to have our Final Cut camera ready yet. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's get color support for day one so people can grade our footage. Hey, why doesn't Davinci Resolve support ProRes RAW? People have been asking for that feature for years.
Yeah, and here it is.
Years, and now it comes out on the iPhone, and here it is.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. The Ursa Cine has an immersive version where it's like has the, basically like 360 type camera on the front. Like, yeah, it's just whatever's going on there. There's a pretty strong collaboration, and I think we're all coming out better for it.
I feel like Apple is maybe in some ways careful with who they do business with and who they partner with.
I would say so.
And I don't know if it speaks well of Blackmagic to be, this is one of the companies they've chosen because, there's some meshing there. But I think it's coming at a pretty good benefit. I'm so happy that DaVinci Resolve now supports ProRes RAW.
Yeah, it's great because like we've thought RAW would be interesting. That's one of the things we're kind of interested in with like the Pixis, for example. But shooting stuff in Blackmagic RAW is not very accessible if you're not using a Blackmagic camera. Like you pretty much have to use their video assist thing. Meanwhile, a lot of cameras support ProRes RAW, like either internally or with an SSD. You and I both have Ninjas that supports it. It feels like that opens up lots of cameras to like feed into a RAW workflow in Resolve that just like you couldn't do before.
That kind of backs into this question that I wrote down here under this point, which is like now that Blackmagic has started supporting ProRes RAW and they're bringing ProRes RAW to the Pocket Cinema 4K.
And probably other cameras in the future. That's like the first one they're doing.
Yeah, like what does this mean for the industry? And like you kind of touched on it, because of Atomos, ProRes RAW is very widely adopted in the prosumer market.
Yeah, I mean, like the Fuji can shoot ProRes RAW. Well, it can shoot it through a Ninja, basically, right? Like
so many cameras. I mean, we would be here all day if we tried to list them.
Well, but like there are others that like you don't need the Ninja because like the S1 II, I can just plug an SSD into it and shoot that.
Right. Yeah.
And so yeah, like that's a huge amount of cameras that like can shoot RAW, and people that are using Resolve haven't really been able to take advantage of that, and now they can.
It seems like Apple conceding on Final Cut Pro, and it feels like Blackmagic conceding on Blackmagic RAW.
I think so too. Yeah.
I appreciate that we are now getting the flexibility to be able to edit in whichever software we need to. I'm sure that the Blackmagic RAW is going to have its own benefits and reasons why you might choose to shoot that over something like ProRes, but now you're no longer being limited. I think this is going to create an environment where people who were just not shooting in RAW because it didn't work with any of their workflows. I mean, I would fall in that category. Like, I'm sure my camera can do it, but I don't have Blackmagic Video Assist, and I don't want to deal with running this through, some RAW converter or Final Cut Pro.
I think we are for sure in that category.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that Blackmagic and the industry are going to see a benefit in people learning how to work within RAW workflows now that this is a thing.
Yeah.
And maybe that's too like, oh, it's going to change the world, but I think it's a pretty big deal. I think this is a bigger deal than it seems.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned like the like Apple conceding on Final Cut, and I feel like both software still kind of have their place because the people that are interested in doing like RAW video like are probably really more on the Resolve side of things anyway, in terms of wanting to focus a lot on color grading, doing a more professional project. Like Resolve fits that so well. It feels like Final Cut would have a long way to go to get to that point. But on the other hand, like Final Cut's great for casual stuff, people that aren't doing that. I feel like those people aren't interested in RAW, like really anyway. So I don't know. It kind of feels like two separate markets, and it just makes sense to do it this way.
Do you think that this is going to cause Blackmagic to sell less hardware?
That's a good question. Honestly, I don't really think I feel that way because, I mean, if anything, like I think we've talked on this show several times about like the Pixis, and I've mentioned being frustrated that it didn't shoot a compressed codec, and a lot of that is that we don't really have experience using RAW. Like it hasn't really been possible for us to learn how to do that. And so it feels like this big leap, like this big unknown to get a camera like that. And I feel like with having this, it kind of opens the door for us to play with that, like build the confidence with it, understand what it's like. And I mean, I feel like that's likely to sell them, more cameras in the sense of like, okay, this isn't like a big scary thing. Like I've played with RAW. It's not that scary to buy a camera that only shoots in RAW. I feel like that's part of it. And then the other part is, with or without this, I think that Blackmagic's hardware, like their cameras, are still like a pretty unusual value proposition in in cameras, where if you want something that has actual cinema features, they're still one of the most affordable options. And like now they're starting to do the RGBW sensors, and like they're pushing it forward, but like I still think they're offering something unique.
In my experience so far with messing with ProRes RAW and Resolve and learning those RAW workflows, this is just a lot of work. You gotta like set all the white balance and stuff, and the footage is so noisy. And do it. You gotta do everything on your own. Mm-hmm. All the stuff that the camera's doing now, you gotta do it.
Yep.
Ugh. Ugh.
Depends on your project. I still wish that the Blackmagic stuff offered H.265 with some kind of like reasonable processing. But,
sure would be nice.
But I think that if you're shooting on a camera like that, like you use it for a certain type of work, and for that type of work, it does make more sense to have that flexibility.
Do you think Blackmagic is now going to sell more software?
I don't know.
Do you think this is just one stepping stone to Blackmagic starting to charge upgrade pricing or subscription pricing for Davinci Resolve?
Well, they've said they're going to, and you do kind of have to wonder, like, where does Blackmagic want to make its money?
They said that it may not always be a free upgrade.
Yeah. You have to wonder, like, where does Blackmagic want to make their money? Because it's always felt to us like the cameras are like a conduit for getting like data into their system, and so it feels like the cameras are like a hobby. Mm-hmm. But then you have to wonder, like, I mean, Resolve is $300 for a license. That's not very much. Like, where are they making the money on this stuff? So, I don't know.
It seems like with all the development that they're pushing to make Davinci Resolve like the new standard in editing software, they are so directly competing with like Premiere, as far as, maybe that's not fair to say, but they're wanting it to be a go-to editing suite of software. And that's a lot of time and investment to making it what it is. I can't imagine that they're going to forever want to just be shipping that for free with your ATEM or whatever.
I guess it's, it feels like Blackmagic like really is trying to sell you their whole ecosystem. And I don't know if any single part of it is like their profit driver. It's kind of like the whole thing where like you have Resolve, but maybe you also have one of their like control surface, things for it. And they've got all the stuff for like monitoring and live broadcast and all that. And it just feels like they want you to buy into their system and buy all these individual parts of their system.
But that's my question here is, does Blackmagic now supporting ProRes RAW, is that a changing of the tides in that strategy, or is it a means to get more people into their ecosystem?
Well, you have to imagine there's a reason they did it. And I guess that's kind of the question is like, it's hard to imagine Apple like throwing enough money at them for that to be worth it if they didn't feel like it was aligned with what they want. Like how much would that have had? How many millions would they have had to give Blackmagic for them to say like, yes, we'll do this thing that's totally against our strategy? So it makes me feel like that Blackmagic somehow feels like it's beneficial to them. But yeah, exactly how, I'm not sure.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm still just a huge fan of what Blackmagic is doing. So them adding this just more digs me into their ecosystem and future camera purchases and the software that I use and workflows and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'm super excited that we can try shooting RAW on our cameras and use it in Resolve. I feel like for some of our upcoming stuff, it'd be fun to try and do that. And, it's just like, it's one of those rare times where you buy something and it gets better after you bought it, which is super cool.
And we mentioned that the Blackmagic Cine 4K will get ProRes RAW. They haven't mentioned any other things that are going to get it except for also the Blackmagic 12G Video Assist.
Which is good. I mean,
it's a pretty good deal.
I have to imagine it's coming to other stuff. I mean, they just can't do them all at once. But I mean, the Pocket 4K is one of their oldest cameras that they still offer at this point. So, I would have to imagine it's going to come to the Pocket 6K. I would bet it's going to come to the Pixis.
The Pixis doesn't shoot. The Pixis doesn't shoot straight up ProRes, does it?
No. No,
It's
it doesn't.
just
It doesn't have anything other than RAW.
that would be a nice ad. I think that the Pixis 12K would be even more interesting with other codec options.
Yeah. Well, I think they're adding ProRes RAW to these. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about like regular ProRes. I would love to have that. And I don't know whether I wonder like why they don't do it. And I don't know if it's a licensing thing or if it's a processing power thing. Because if you're shooting in a non-RAW codec, you have to do more processing in the camera, right? So
Yeah.
maybe it's that, but I don't know. I we've talked a lot on this show about it, but I wish they would give some type of compressed codec.
I think we're just going to have to see where it goes over time. Blackmagic is doing so much. And so maybe it's just a matter of where they're focusing their development, their time. They had to get ProRes RAW into Davinci Resolve to get Apple, so Apple could cash that check for them.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
Vice versa.
Yep.
Anyway, this was the main thing I wanted to talk about with the iPhone was the ProRes RAW thing and Blackmagic. I think that's maybe the most interesting component of the iPhone 17, of them adding these features, which we didn't even talk about, Open Gate and the ability to change your input selection on your microphone. I do think that adding Open Gate to a phone is interesting. Finally, more and more companies are saying Open Gate's just a standard feature. So cool. Nice that you can just shoot 3x2 video. Is it a 3x2 sensor?
I actually don't know if it is or not.
I don't know what the I think it's 3x2. Anyways,
I think the ProRes RAW is limited to like shooting with an SSD, but somebody has figured out how to hack it in some way to get it internal.
Yeah, but it's like absolutely a hack.
Yeah.
You open up the Final Cut camera app and I think you like choose SSD to record to, plug in an SSD, choose SSD to record to, close the app, unplug the SSD and open the app, and then it like records to internal or something. It's just dumb.
They're probably going to fix that, but
yeah, they're going to fix it.
I don't know what the problem with plugging an SSD in is.
Why are they shipping I guess you could probably shoot, you can't even shoot ProRes internal on this thing, can you? Not RAW, just straight up ProRes, like ProRes HQ.
Yeah, I don't think so, I guess. But
why have a 2 terabyte iPhone
yeah,
if
that
you
makes
can't actually record the videos to it? Good
question. Maybe you can with ProRes, just not with ProRes RAW.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I know you can with the Blackmagic camera app.
That's true. I know. When I got the 15 Pro, that was the first one. That kind of had some of these, where you could shoot in ProRes, and we were definitely interested in it as a, like an additional camera angle, like a C cam, D cam, that kind of thing. And we used it that way on a couple of shoots, and it seems like it worked out pretty well. I feel like the only reason we stopped using it was because we just weren't ever really using the angle for shoots, and we ended up with enough mirrorless cameras that it's like, okay, like we're just going to set up an actual camera.
Yeah. Actual camera.
I feel like the 17 Pro, basically just kind of takes that all a little bit farther, where like it does really feel like you could take this with you and use it as an additional angle, or even for a main video, and get pretty good results. I mean, I can't get over thinking of it as a phone sensor. And when I look at pictures that I take with the phone, versus pictures that I take like with the S1 or, whatever camera, I mean, it's just, you can, especially if you zoom in, you can tell it's a phone camera. Like it just doesn't look as good. And I think that's what gives me the most pause on the video, is that like, it's amazing that it has all these features. And I think that the quality you get is incredible for a phone, but it feels like there's still like that physics and optics limitation where it's just not as good as shooting on like an APS-C or a full frame mirrorless camera.
Can you jam an UltraSync Blue 2 on iPhone for video shooting?
I don't think you can. They should add that. They really should add that, because that uses Bluetooth, so there would be no reason not to.
I mean, but you can't. You might be able to, Daniel. Maybe you need like a.
I know if I had the magical Blackmagic dock thing,
yeah,
I could take the UltraSync 1 that has a 3.5 and I could jam that with it.
I mean, it sounds like you're going to have to get that dock thing, because we got to be able to jam this iPhone.
I don't know about that.
To your point, I agree on the photo side. Anything that I shoot as far as pictures with my phone, the pictures out of an actual camera are just always better. Unless I know I want to shoot like an HDR photo and have an HDR photo just straight out the box, I can get more detail, better resolution. Like it's a 48 megapixel sensor on my phone. And like, yeah, sure, I can shoot a 48 megapixel RAW, but the 40 megapixels off of my Fuji just look better.
Yeah.
They just do.
I mean, I would, my S1, 24 megapixel sensor, yeah, it looks a lot better than what I get out of the iPhone.
And I think that like the sensor is good. You can do a lot with that sensor, but it's still a matter of the lenses are like big glass lenses with coatings and like, they're aspherical and all this. Like just the lenses are, you can't shrink that down yet in a way that where you get the same performance.
If you look at a 24-70 full frame lens, it is substantially larger than an entire iPhone.
Yeah.
And you like anybody could look at that and say like, this is not going to have the same optical quality.
Yeah. It's just
impossible.
Yeah. So on the photo side, I absolutely agree with all that. Like it's just not, it doesn't compare. Even no matter how much you try, it doesn't compare. On the video side, it is so easy to fake someone out and be like, this was shot on an iPhone. Haha.
You do see it a lot.
People are doing it all the time.
Even like the Apple events, very high production value, shot on iPhone.
And like you can mount a lens to it and whatever. And I think it's because like video doesn't demand as high of like fidelity per image, and you can fake so much out with the motion blur between each capture and all this sort of thing.
Not wrong.
I think that the iPhone is closer to like a high-end video camera than it is to a high-end photo camera, and I just think that's it's really interesting in that way.
Yeah.
But
I guess like I've never really thought about the difference between those, but I see where you're coming from.
It's to me, it's closer to being like. You can, I shot, like, you can shoot really good photos with your phone, but like people are making movies with iPhones. And so it's like, it's there, but I think on the video side, it's farther. It's like closer to being real than on the photo side.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost feels like maybe the biggest thing left is the perception, like, I like to make the joke, like when you and I first got involved with shooting events, we obviously like using mirrorless cameras. And how funny it would have been to like show up with your phone and just be like, all right, I'm ready. I'm gonna start filming.
Let's go.
And like everybody be like, okay, man, you serious? And it kind of brings me back to like that Osmo thing we talked about at the beginning where you're throwing like a map box and stuff on it. But like appearance kind of matters, and like if you're holding like a bare Osmo Pocket 3, people may not notice, or like that has a certain social connotation. Same if you're holding your phone up, and filming with your phone. And then same for like a mirrorless camera. Like people perceive all those things differently, and like they all have a place in terms of like how people view them. And it's interesting how like we are starting to see the lines blur a little bit in terms of what these things are capable of. But I don't think that people have gotten over it yet. Like if you see somebody holding a phone, you're not thinking that guy's shooting a movie.
No, not necessarily. And I mean, whenever they actually shoot movies on things, these things don't look like phones. Even the Apple event, they don't look like they are fully rigged out, and they have all of the things that one would need to shoot a movie on the thing with like ND and matte boxes and grips and batteries and like external display, like all of the things. And so you're still not, but the core functionality is still there.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is like when I see that, my first thought is, this is pretty, like, this feels performative. Like, why are they just doing this because they can, like, because they're Apple, or because, like, let's be the first people to shoot a Hollywood movie on this phone?
Or are they choosing to do it because of the image that they're going to get out of it?
Yeah, yeah. And, you have to imagine after a point, they would only be doing it if they actually felt like they were getting the best result, from that. But it's just surprising to me that we're getting to the point where that's even possible.
I think there's some cases where people are choosing to shoot on an iPhone for cinema purposes because of, like, how they shot what was that Android robot movie that we watched, like Creator or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Where they shot that on FX3s because it allowed them to be more mobile. Yeah. I think people are making that decision with shooting on an iPhone for the form factor, but I think a lot of it is still the performative aspect that Apple can say we shot this on our phone.
Yeah,
and for like 28 years later, the whole shtick with the first one was they shot it on a very, very early consumer digital camera because they wanted it to look like found footage in a way.
Yeah.
And so they essentially shot it on the, like, what is the consumer video camera now? And the consumer video camera is not a camcorder, it is your phone. And I think that's why they chose to why they chose to shoot 28 years later on an iPhone. Like, it just makes perfect sense because it's exactly in the vein of the first movie.
Yeah.
And
that
so
makes sense. Yeah.
To an extent, that is still performative because it's like there's a certain reason behind it. They weren't picking it like people picking the, Ursa Cine 12K because the skin tones look of a certain way and they just really want that look.
Yeah.
They're not, I don't think anyone's necessarily picking an iPhone because of the way that it renders skin tones unless they like mush.
Yeah, they're not saying like, well, I could use the Arri Alexa for this, but instead I'm going to use the iPhone 17 Pro because it looks better. Like that's not happening.
That's not happening yet.
Yeah.
But I think that we'll get to the point where someone may say, actually, I like the way that the highlights roll off on the iPhone 25 Ultra because blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, and I think what you're saying too about, like the 28 years later.
Yeah, 28 years later.
With the wanting it to be like a consumer camera. I do think people kind of get used to the look of like phone footage. And we may see a time, like especially as like the current generation grows up, and like gets to a point where they're the ones making movies and stuff. We may get to a point where people are just like, that's the type of video that they've seen, their whole lives, and like that's what they enjoy, and that's what they want to make their movies.
And they're going to be buying an iPhone 17 in orange off of eBay, so they can get that look, and then it's going to be the point and shoot market thing all over again, but with phones.
I guess I'm going to have to hold on to mine. Who knows what it'll be worth?
The orange one's going to be the most valuable one.
Absolutely,
because it's so orange.
Yeah, it's that valuable in your heart, isn't it?
It sure is.
That's it for the show today. Thanks for joining us, and if you liked it, tell a friend so they can check it out too. You can find out more about the show at www.cameragearpodcast.com, and you can find us on Twitter @CameraGearPod. We'll be back with more next week.